July, July, July. Oh, how I love thee. So many things that just kind of kick around in the memory. And the simple fact that every July is essentially the annual summer renewal of my professional vows. And this particular summer, I think it went quite well, actually, and all things considered, I'm really quite amazed I was able to fit it in at all, but I did. And I feel really good about it and emboldened to continue on, even though I think most of the people around me really don't understand at all what it is that I strive to do, which tells me a lot of different things, really, and perhaps primarily one of them being that I need to find new friends. Or at least some more friends that know what I'm doing in this world and life and time frame and whatever little time we have left. Of course, now that we know that it's been nearly half a century now that they've known about climate change. Which is interesting to think about, like, half a century, we still have this sense of like, oh, the major changes, there's still, you know, half a century away. We've still got time. It's like, no, no, no. Actually, half a century ago, we could somewhat afford that attitude, but no, not so much. And so on July 17th so the story about July 17th and the fact that it happens on a Saturday of this particular year is just icing on the cake for me, because in high school, my best friend, his birthday was actually July 17th, and he's since now passed away, but the idea of July 17th was that the world would end on July 17th, and what would we do? We would go up on the rooftop and watch it happen. We would just have a seat on the rooftop and just look out at the world and watch the world end. And that was kind of the fun, the fun apocalyptimist kind of attitude that we had together. And it was really lovely, and it was great. And he was really probably one of the best friends I think that I've ever had, even when he would really make me mad, which he could do so well. And I just am so pleased, actually, that after all these weeks and months where I haven't actually done this live stream for a while, and it happens to be the Saturday after the conclusion of the high-level political forum on sustainable development, that July 17th falls on a Saturday night, and it's the conclusion of the forum, and it's the high point, the midpoint of the summer and of July, which is just, of course, you know, July. And here we are, and so I couldn't help but press that live button with no real plan of what I might say. And somewhere along the way, you know, I think it's kind of like an all for nothing, go for broke kind of attitude this July 17th Saturday night, when the mood strikes midnight at this particular point in my life. Is it's a go for broke. It's an all or nothing. It's a Brooklyn or bust kind of situation. And I kind of like it. Not even quite sure what all the terms of the arrangement are, but you know, it's that kind of a thing. That's the vibe anyway. And so I will quietly uncover the mystery as the mystery reveals itself to me, even as I embark on simple little things like, where are the Marshall Islands? Do you know where the Marshall Islands are? I had a pretty strong idea where they were, but I wasn't quite sure. And it's actually kind of hard to find a small set of islands in an encyclopedia or in an atlas without having an idea of it, at least like roughly where they are on the globe. So I did actually default to the Google map because of course it's so much easier. But I was right. I was actually right, and I had the atlas open to the exact page that it was on. I just had to look more closely at the page to find it, and so I felt pretty good about that. Small little victory. On this seemingly end of the world as we know it, Saturday night, July 17th, 2021. I just made that up, really. It's my own free association. It probably has nothing to do with your life whatsoever. But maybe it does, who knows, I don't know. Maybe it's like relevant in some weird off-kilter poetic way. You never know about these things, really. It just kind of happens. Especially when you read poetry. Take a moment to just read, even just like one single stanza of poetry. It'll just completely throw off your whole rhythm, which is probably good. It's a good thing to do. And sometimes when I find myself just kind of like stuck in a moment or a rut or just a mode of thinking that I know is probably not the best, I just find a book of poetry and just open up to like any random poem and just read it. Read a few of them. If I must, if I may, if I so desire. Sometimes I get really frustrated with reading poetry, but what I do find is that it will change the whole mode of thought within like seconds. Like a miracle. That's the miracle of poetry. Is it will change the whole structure of your thought process within like a mere like several seconds or less, really. I mean, it's kind of an incredible thing. And that is why the world needs more poets, because otherwise we become these like monotonous drones of beings that are just super boring. And art, of course, in general, but poetry I feel like has just this like really quiet power to just completely disassemble oppression. It's like hardly any effort. Just like throws oppression to the mat and just, you know, wins the round. Wins all of the rounds, in fact. And then goes home and has tea and pie and reads a book. Poetry or not poetry, it's hard to say. Anything, really. Because they won and they didn't even break a sweat. That's poetry. And so I have created this kind of space of live stream and video and memoir and capture and create this series of commentary on life that I then kind of just sequester away in this space on my various social media channels, and I think, well, I could probably make something more of that, but I don't know that I will. I may. But if anything, it's just at least a little bit of who I am and what I brought to this world, or at least tried to bring. And, you know, some anecdotes along the way. And the frogs in my pond, which I'm sure you can hear quite loud and clear in the background. And my cat, which is, I think she's found her catnip, so she's a little bit crazy at the moment. So I bought a kayak, and I'm waiting for them to ship the kayak. It has been out a week, I think a week and a half, because they didn't have the color of light blue. They had every other color, just they did not have the color of light blue in the immediate inventory, and so they said they could send me another color, but otherwise they could wait until Wednesday and then they would ship it out. But Wednesday has now come and gone, and they have not shipped my kayak, and it's a foldable kayak, so it's a little bit of an adventure to find out if a foldable kayak will work and not fold up on me while I'm on the water. Fortunately, there's a 90-day guarantee in case it actually, you know, the kayak tries to kill you. But they have not shipped it to me yet, and I'm just, like, every day I check to see if they've shipped it out yet, and they haven't shipped it out yet. And it's like a not even 30-pound foldable kayak that I can just pack up and go wherever. Way easier than an actual, like, kayak that is just this big, cumbersome, monstrous thing. But there's this part of me that's like, well, wait, is this a real company? Like, they didn't just take my money and they're just, like, telling me that they're gonna ship me this kayak, and just, like, kind of like this smoke screen. So at some point I have to, like, figure out, like, if they still haven't shipped it by, like, Tuesday of next week, I'm gonna be like, okay, what the hell? Similarly, I was at an art fair earlier, and the second time that I used this brand new debit card for PayPal, finally caved in and got a PayPal card, cash card. The second transaction of the day, they accidentally have me pay for the other person's transaction, which was like 7 times more the amount than what I had intended to spend, which was only $10. And they're like, oh, we're so sorry, we accidentally ran your card for this other person's transaction, but don't worry, we refunded it right away. I was like, are you kidding me? And they showed me they did actually, as far as I could tell, they did actually refund it, but of course PayPal takes their time giving me my money back, and so now it's just kind of like held in limbo. And that was the second time that I used the card, and so now I'm like, okay, well, maybe I don't like this idea at all, really, and this will just be, I'll use it if I have to, but maybe not so much. Yeah, so that's my totally moderate end of the world as we know it, July 17th, Saturday night. Not sitting in my rooftop to watch the show. Really just sitting in my living room, listening to the frogs, because it's clearly not ending out there. Seems like we're still good. At least in this part of the world. There's some other pretty crazy shit going on everywhere else. Not everywhere else. Some other places. Obviously. Like 125 degrees in Pakistan. There's crazy floods in Belgium and Germany. Drought out west in the States. Yep, 50 years. We knew about all this 50 years ago. Half a century of time to take action. But what did we do? Nothing. Well, not nothing. Not nothing. We did do some stuff. We did Earth Day. We did recycle, reuse, reduce, reuse, recycle, whatever order. We did that. And now we've got billionaires going to the moon just for fun. Why? Because they can. But, you know, in and of itself, I think that's actually a pretty cool thing, you know, going to the moon, like space travel, like those kinds of like technological space travel kind of breakthroughs. I think that's awesome. I think all those things are really quite awesome and fantastic. All, you know, just the whole spectrum from just like straight up aviation to space travel and everything in between is just phenomenal. And we should absolutely embark on those kind of things. However, not when the world is on fire and there are like massive humanitarian disasters unfolding, you know, as we speak. The priority is not on space travel. It's just not. Like, let's just wait. Like, let's just like put that on hold. Like, let's just table that for a minute and address these crises. And then we can get back to that, but like not until the crises have been addressed and like are actually alleviated. Don't you think? That's seems like the right order of things. That seems like a very like pragmatic approach to how we should go about our daily global business, don't you think? I mean, that's just seems like a sensible approach to me. So, that's my commentary this Saturday night. Any other commentary for the moment? No, I don't think so. That seems to be it. There is a good chance that I may indulge in another July live stream because July. How I love thee. It's just the touchstone of my life, really, this time. So, with that, I say cheers, and may you have a fantastic, not end of the world, July 17th. And cheers to my friend Mike, also known as the Duke, for being such a good friend to me all those years. Cha-cha-cha. May you be well. And courageous and bold and ready to take on the world, because that is really the only way to be. Cheers.